What's up? This is Elia Einhorn. Welcome back to the Talkhouse Podcast. Today I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Amy Rose Spiegel, Talkhouse Music's editor-in-chief.
And we have a hell of a show for you. Wye Oak and Flock of Dimes' Jenn Wasner in conversation with Lower Den's Jana Hunter.
This talk was recorded in the Sonos room at Rough Trade in Brooklyn for Northside Festival. Regular listeners might remember a recent conversation that we taped here with Jlin and William Basinski, and should also stay tuned for our next and final Northside podcast with Martin Rev of Suicide and Julianna Barwick.
Amazing talks, one and all, and such a fantastic festival. Now, I want to briefly introduce listeners who might not be familiar. Jenn Wasner is an incredibly prolific artist, best known as half of the band Wye Oak. Wye Oak have actually just announced their new album coming out April 6th on the fantastic Merge Records and dropped the title track as a single. It's called The Louder I Call, The Faster It Runs. Check it out. She also has a solo project called Flock of Dimes. Now, I got to catch one of Flock of Dimes' first ever shows. It was just Jenn on stage, surrounded by drum machines and synthesizers, down in Austin for Austin City Limits 2 years back. When I saw Flock of Dimes with electronic beats, with vintage synth sounds, I was blown away. And while Jenn was still a little bit nervous about rolling out the solo project, I thought they were absolutely fantastic and could not wait for them to release a record. The next year, she released 2 records, Tween with Wye Oak and Flock of Dimes' debut, If You See Me, Say Yes. That was in 2016. This talk takes in a lot of the genesis of the Flock of Dimes record. I'd love to play you a song from this record, Birthplace. Check it out.
Sometimes I go it alone. Fill my arms with what I can carry. In my body, my home.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty awesome. I also want to point out that Jenn is a really prolific contributor to Talkhouse's editorial side, and you can find her reviews and criticism and awesome playlists at talkhouse.com.
She's an artist I've been wanting to bring over to the podcast for a long time. We were so glad that she was able to do this. Also, I've got to just give her a quick shout out. Fans, have you seen her custom guitar? We're going to social a picture of this. This is amazing.
What does it look like?
Black and white rock and fucking roll.
Sick. Okay. Gonna have to check that out.
Now, she and Jana go back a ways.
Right. Didn't they work at a restaurant together
They
in
did
Baltimore, Elia? Can you
did.
tell us that story?
They worked in a B-More restaurant. Jenn as a waitress, Jana washing dishes in the back. And they do get into it a little bit in this podcast.
That's kind of tight because now they're also colleagues in a different kind of way, not only on this podcast and, of course, musically, but Jana also contributes really beautifully to Talkhouse.
Brilliant writer.
Yeah. So they've been running kind of in the same circles for a long time.
Amy Rose, I know that you and I are both pretty big Lower Dens fans.
Yeah. You should have seen me in college when basically all I did after class was lie on my bed and listen to Nootropics. Yeah. I thought I was very sophisticated listening to Lower Dens because their sound is just so polished and elegant. So their most recent record is Escape from Evil from 2015. And let's play To Die in LA from that record. I know you love that song, Elia.
That is my favorite song on this record. Absolutely love the record. Absolutely adore that song.
Yeah, really gorgeous. So this talk finds these two being really honest about what their place is right now, they feel, in their respective careers. And they share a lot of, their fears, but also their hopes. They give each other advice. And there's a lot of love and mutual respect that we hear here.
There is. There's also some love and mutual respect, surprisingly, for Abba. Lower Dens were at Northside Festival performing an all Abba set.
That's really great.
They chop it up. They get into the pros and cons of ceding control in their creative processes.
They talk about how tech researchers aren't thinking enough about songwriters, which I thought was really intriguing.
That was fascinating. They talk about the baggage of being, quote, a girl with a guitar.
Yeah, that old chestnut, of course. And they also go into the fact that Jenn feels that she's about ready to produce other artists, which I would love to hear and think is really cool.
I'd love to hear that. Should we hear this talk?
Yeah, let's do it. Roll tape.
Hey, it's me, Jen.
Hi. Hi, Jen.
I'm here with my good friend, Jana Hunter.
Hey.
And we are both sleepy.
Yeah.
So just going to let y'all know right off the bat, all of you listening at home and listening here in this record store, which is, I'm sure, what you came here to do. We're sleepy.
Yeah. That's a great introduction, Jen.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I got you. So last time we hung out, we were at Moogfest in Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw you, directly before we parted ways, I fell spectacularly.
Oh, yeah, you did.
In front of a room full of people. The entire bar actually screamed because they thought there was no way I could not be injured. It was that kind of fall.
Yeah, it was like a pratfall.
It was a total pratfall.
Yeah, it was like you had been. It was like you had been training for it.
Yeah, I hadn't.
It was amazing.
And I didn't even spill my drink.
Yeah, I know.
But I was deeply embarrassed. I was just hanging out with all these people and I hadn't seen in a while. Just having a really good time.
You wouldn't stop insisting that you were okay.
Yeah.
Like from the moment you hit the ground.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm
okay.
Great. I'm okay.
I'm
okay.
Great. That was the last time we hung out, so I just wanted to let you know that I am okay.
Yeah, I know you're okay.
No lasting injuries of any kind.
Yeah.
Not even a bruise.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. But anyway, we had fun at Moogfest. I made a drum machine. You watched someone control a synthesizer with their brain. Mm-hmm. A lot of other things happened. It was cool. But anyway, since then, I've been trying to brainstorm questions to ask you.
Okay.
We've known each other for a really long time, so I feel like I've asked you a lot of questions already. But there is one question that I wanted to ask you that I've never asked you because it's not the kind of thing you just kind of like ask a friend in like a chill hanging out scenario.
Okay.
And it's, how is your cat?
How's my cat?
No, it's not. That's not the question. No, my question is, you are a musician that I admire very much, and this is going to be awkward because we're both really bad at taking compliments, but I'm going to try and make it as painless as possible for you and me. I really admire your work. I always have. I think you're great. And I would think that even if I didn't know you as a human being. But one of the things I've always admired about you is the fact that you are invested in kind of trying to use technology in a forward-thinking way, but you work in a very traditional form, in the form of like songwriting. And so my question for you is, as someone who I've always considered as a very forward-thinking person, what continues to bring you back to working? Do you still believe in songwriting? Do you still believe in songs as a thing? And why do you work within those forms? And honestly, I know you're making a new record now. Maybe you're not working within those forms anymore. I don't want to assume. But in the past, like, what is compelling about the form for you that continues to make you want to make music that way?
Well, I mean, I don't always want to work in song form. Sometimes that's not what's most interesting to me. But I do think that what I'm more interested in is in finding ways to communicate with people in the show space, and I find that the traditional song form is still the best way for me to do that, because that's where my skills are. I think that if I felt confident in doing something like more progressive or less like tied to that tradition, then I would do that. And that's what interests me more, like as a audience participant or whatever. Those are the kinds of shows I go see where people are really exploring like the outer reaches, bounds, or like way outside those bounds.
Yeah. I feel the same way actually, and I feel like that's something I've had to really struggle with over the years. As far as that is, I think you're an excellent songwriter, and I also feel like that's where my particular skill set is. It is like the quickest way and the most effective way for me to reach people, which is the entire point. But I did struggle with that for a really long time because I feel like I also think the last time we hung out, we talked a lot about how it's like somewhat of a youthful thing to issue tradition and sort of be like, I am unique and I am special and I am a part of nothing and I am completely separate. And as I get older, I sort of like have become of coming back around to a lot of these, the value of a lot of these like forms and traditions.
Yeah.
But it's been something of a struggle for me, and I think it's something I've always really admired in your work. Like I think you bring those two worlds together in a way that I've always found really moving, and I know from experience that it's really, really difficult to do. So,
well, thanks for saying that.
It's true. I believe that's true.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool to hear you say that.
I think it's true. It's true. That's like. I mean,
thanks.
Your music is great, and you're a really cool person. So you just have to sit with that now. Okay. just live in that compliment for a little while.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that you and I share in common is that we kind of like to make our own recordings so that we get the opportunity to kind of to experiment a lot with all the things which in like traditional song forms are more like accoutrement, like the structures of songs and the textures and the like sound layers, all that kind of like geeky stuff that I don't really know how to talk about that without actually going into it, but you know what I mean, like that. And that's maybe why we were both in like at Moogfest and like running around and doing all that stuff. I mean, like you start getting into the boundaries of building sound, and there's kind of infinite capabilities in a way that makes it possible to still be a traditional songwriter and kind of get your kicks at the same time.
Yeah, and to feel like you're doing something that is pushing the boundaries as you understand them and currently feel them as best you can. But yeah, I mean, I also think that a lot of like the pushback that I've felt identifying with like even being able to sit here and call myself a songwriter is something that maybe a couple of years ago would have felt inherently really uncomfortable to me. I think because I present really female and feminine, and I think that a lot of people take a look at someone who looks like me and it's just like, you're a singer-songwriter. And that was from a really young age. Like I would go and I would have a girl with a guitar has like a certain like a set of baggage in our culture that like I always felt was put upon me outside of my against my will, not necessarily even against my will, because I love songs and I love the form and I've like studied it and I still enjoy working within those boundaries, but I feel like it was something that was being put on me or like assumed about me for a really long time. And so and it's in my nature when I feel that happening to resist it and kind of try and defy people's expectations about it as best I can. Which is why it's kind of feels especially funny and ironic for me now to just be like, no, this is my craft. Like this is something that I do and do well and like feel like has value, and to have come that far with it is interesting. But I do think that there's still room to, like you were saying, to kind of build a universe of sound that is interesting and compelling and forward-thinking within that. So,
do you think that you'll go into production at some point, like producing records for other people?
I would like to.
I think you would be really good at it.
I would love to. I mean, I think that it's a skill set that I've been sort of slowly chipping away at over time.
I think you've chipped away more than you believe that you have.
Maybe so. Maybe it's just a matter of like the classic thing of like believing you deserve to be in the room, which is something that I'm not like socialized to think about myself.
Yeah, you should just let other people assure you that you belong in those rooms.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I do good at it too.
Belong in those rooms.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Let me in your room.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something I've always wanted to do. It's always something that I find really interesting and exciting. It's something that I don't know how one does.
Nobody knows how you do it. You just have the tools and you train your ear and you just do it. That's how everybody does it.
But yeah, like where do you find your like fresh ripe talent? Where do you find the like the artist that needs the like guiding hand. I don't know. I just feel like most of the people that I encounter and along the way are people who are like have their shit together. And I just don't know how to get into that kind of work.
I think that if you broadcast the fact that you're interested in it, then I think that people will come to you.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing we have these microphones in our hand right now then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're on this podcast. Did you realize we weren't just hanging out? Can you feel the echo of our voices being projected into the giant room just to the periphery of our...
I can feel it inside my self-consciousness.
I know, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's deeply weird.
It is weird. It is weird because you and I know each other really well and we talk all the time, but not normally with microphones in our hands.
Yeah, like we're past the point where we can ask each other the sort of like stock, like, so, tell me about you. How'd you get into music?
Yeah.
Like, I guess I could do that, but like, it would be for other people's benefit, not necessarily my own.
Yeah.
Either way, I appreciate your compliment. I would love to produce other people's records. I do think I'd be probably pretty good at it. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a really, really humbling process at first because my way of working on things is so hyper-specific to me that I think learning how to bring other people into the fold, or rather, like, it also revolves a lot around happy accidents, which I tend to embrace. And I think one of the things about being a truly good producer is actually being able to do the thing where someone's like, I want this. And then you're like, I know exactly how to do that, and I'll do it right now. Which I have a little bit of that, but I also feel like a lot of what I do is going for that and then becoming more enamored of the result, which is not really what I was going for in the first place.
Yeah.
Which I think is, maybe it's a case of like, that's how everyone works, but no one really admits that. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I do think that if somebody is choosing to work with someone as a producer, they have to a certain extent, they either have to have some sort of agreement beforehand, like, look, this is how it goes. I make the rules here, mm-hmm. or we're like collaborative. And I personally think that that's better. I think that if somebody chooses to work with you, they ought to let your voice in and see what happens between the two of you, because I always feel like that any kind of collaboration that allows for that is better than where you have kind of a mishmash of like hashed out compromises,
and that's what it sounds like.
Like it ends up being like one, like a terrible $300 million movie that nobody wants to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know. I think that trying to find that line is something that is really exciting to me, and I tend to do a lot of my work alone. Mm-hmm. Even in collaboration, it's usually alone because Andy, my bandmate in Wye Oak. For those of you who don't know, Jana knows. I feel weird. He lives in Texas. So even when we're working together, we're separate. We're in different rooms in different places. And so that's what I'm most accustomed to, is kind of having a lot of space and privacy to tweak and fiddle until I'm happy with the result of what I'm getting before I send it off into the world. But it's a lot more immediate and a lot more intimidating in a lot of ways to be in a room with someone else. But I miss, like, I'm a little bit of a control freak, but I miss working with people in a way that I want the things that are out of my control. I want to allow them into the music I make, but it's really, really hard for me to let go enough to do it. So I think it would be humbling. It would be really helpful in that process for me to work with more people and on music that is not necessarily my own.
Yeah.
And I think it would be the kind of thing that would come back around to my own stuff. And so I don't know. I mean, it's something I'm definitely interested in. If you know anybody, send them my way, by all means. I mean, if they're good. If they're bad, don't bother.
Okay, so if you're good out there,
well,
then hit Jen up.
But people who are good generally don't think they are. So if you're bad, holler at your girl.
Okay.
I'm trying to... That's right? That'll work.
I don't know.
If you think that there's better music out there, but you're okay, I'm your girl. Come straight here. No, man, it's cool. I appreciate that. It's a great compliment to hear. It means a lot. But yeah, I do enjoy that sort of thing. And it's been one of the most empowering things in my life has been learning how to take more charge over every aspect of the music making process, which is not something that it's not a skill set that I always had.
Yeah.
So I feel the difference in how I relate to the music that I make and how much I enjoy it and how much I want to live with it. And that, that was something that I would love to pass on to as many other people as I can, if I can.
Cool.
So what else should we talk about?
What are you working on?
Good question. I'm working on a Wye Oak record right now.
Cool.
Which is fun. Like I said, it's still the stage right now where it's me in my little room in my little house in North Carolina with all my stuff.
What's your stuff?
I have some stuff. I have, how deep should we get with this?
I don't care.
You don't care? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I have like a little mini studio in my house. So I have an Apollo, a Universal Audio Apollo 8 interface, bunch of microphones, couple of amps, couple of synths. I have my Juno 6. I've been borrowing my friend Nick's Prophet.
What?
Yeah, which has been really fun. I
Cool.
use that a bunch on it. He's a very generous man.
Which Prophet?
The 5.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's been really fun. So now I'm in that hole where like you use something a bunch and then you have to give it back and then you have already come to need it. So I'm
Can you just pretend like you did already give it back and he forgot?
yeah, no, I don't think I could get away with that.
Okay.
I'm in like pre-debt where I like know I'm gonna have to like bite the bullet because I've already come to require
You're
it.
gonna have to bite the bullet and tell him
And buy
that
it.
you lost it.
I'm like I don't know what happened to it, dog.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's strange. I just showed up one day, I was gone. But yeah, so I'm messing around with that stuff. Just bits and bobs, odds and ends. A lot of stuff in the box. In the box is a music industry term for. No, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that.
This whole set is pretty much in the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ableton.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not even singing.
You're not singing?
Nope. And Nate's not playing the drums.
Wow,
It looks like it, but it's all Arturia synths.
Oh, cool. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's gonna be
pretty.
great.
They've gotten really advanced.
really
in the last
advanced,
couple
yeah.
of weeks.
Yeah. Last couple of weeks.
When you play guitar, do you exclusively play the Jenn Wasner guitar?
No. I mean, maybe I should say that, but no, I don't. I mean, the Jenn Wasner guitar is very close replica of many of the other Reverend guitars that I play.
Yeah.
And I tend to gravitate to Reverends for live uses because I find that they're great. Like they're not so expensive that you're worried about them getting messed up. That they're versatile and they're sturdy and they hold tune really well. But when I have a guitar that I actually really love, I rediscovered a guitar that I forgot that I had, which is this old like 50s Harmony Rocket, like hollow body. That I love, but I would never take that on tour, not in a million years. So I don't exclusively play my own signature guitar because I'm not a giant douche. I feel like that's a tool move. But yeah. And that's at this point, like I'm in Wye Oak, I'm playing bass or keys as much as I'm playing guitar. It's kind of becoming like a little bit of an equal split. So it's more fun, holds my attention a bit more.
Yeah. Cool.
I gotta get those Arturia synths. So man, if I could get to a place where I didn't have to worry about protecting my vocal cords on tour, I'd be a much happier lady. Because that's my least favorite thing about. I mean, I love to sing.
You can get an Arturia synth that completely replicates you on stage.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even need to leave the comfort of our homes.
Nope.
Just send the hologram out
Yeah, it's like man or Astro Man for the
for the digital age.
for the 21st century.
Yeah. Hey, are you still using that cool headset mic?
Nope.
No? What do you got now?
I use a Telefunken M81.
Gotcha. They sound good.
They do sound good.
Is it strapped to your face with duct tape? Because I really like that. That was a cool move.
I just unhinge my jaw and then I like have a clamp in there and I put
Sick.
the mic in there.
Yeah. Are you an Android?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should believe
No, I
you.
want to use that wireless mic.
Yeah.
But it's not made for like rock shows. It's made for musicals, and I still have a drummer that I
Yeah.
play with, and it doesn't really work.
That's disappointing because I was actually thinking about ripping you off and getting one of those because I thought it was so cool.
As long as you don't have any bandmates, it's fine.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be the case. I was playing with those. So when we were at Moogfest, I was playing with those sensory percussion drums.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
And as often happens when I find something like that, I immediately started conceiving of a totally new band set that would revolve around me playing those and singing with one of those cool ass headset mics. And I've been daydreaming about it. But the only problem is that I own none of those things. So that's just step one. The rest is easy.
Would it just be you and the drums?
It would just be me playing the drums as percussion instrument and then also as a melodic instrument because you can do that with those things. They're crazy.
Yeah.
And then singing.
And would you also sing?
Yes,
That's a lot to do.
I can do it.
I believe you.
I mean, it would take a lot of practice, but
I've seen you wait tables.
I
I know what you can do.
was an excellent. Can you just verify really quickly that I was just really a great waitress?
You were the best. You were the
you.
best waitress.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
my only other skill, which is convenient because I'm sure I'll have to fall back on that at some point in my life.
Yeah. I never saw anybody coordinate as well as you did while also like making the customers believe that you actually cared.
Those motherfuckers liked me.
Yeah, they
They
did.
really liked me.
Yeah, they were charmed.
Do you remember that one time a table came in and they were like, we used to work at the same restaurant in Baltimore, and they came in and they were like, oh, hey, do you remember us? We came in 3 months ago. Just like, no, I've waited on like 5,000 people since then. Like that's an insane thing.
But
to
when
think.
they left, they thought that you had a bond for life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You were a good
I reached
waitress.
in and
Yeah.
One time when I was waiting tables there, I went to like get someone a drink and I came back and I caught them looking at pictures of me on their phone while I was waiting on them.
That's cool.
That was really cool and definitely
Yeah.
made me very comfortable
Yeah.
in their presence.
Yeah.
It was a really polite, cool thing to do.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite memories of being at Golden West actually is, because you were talking to me about what you wanted to name your band before you had settled on Lower Dens. And I remember being like, Lower Dens is an excellent band name. And then I remember when you were washing dishes and you had your little dish apron on and you got the CDs, the Twin Hand Movement CDs. And I just have this really awesome picture of you with this Twin Hand Movement, like holding it up in your dish.
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah.
You have that
Oh my God.
photo?
I probably have it on my phone like right now. I could probably find it for
I
you.
would like it.
It's just, you just look like
I'll be posting that on some
social media.
medias.
Oh yeah, I'll get it for you because I think of it sometimes because you just seem really, really happy, but also you're just in the like bleakest, like a dish room in a restaurant. It's just like,
Well, I was probably really happy because I was washing dishes.
yeah,
And then
The
I
record
also
interrupted.
realized that I was going to have to like go on tour.
yeah,
And then when I was holding the CD, and then I was really depressed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it captures all of that.
Yeah.
The pathos. It's just like written all over your face.
Yeah.
It's a really good one, but I'll find it for you and send it to you because it's
That
nice.
dish room was great.
It was.
You want to talk about some other stuff?
Yeah, I guess we should talk about some other stuff. What are you working on? You asked me. I need to ask you.
Well, for the past couple of weeks, been working on these Abba songs,
Oh yeah.
which has been like most of my job has been like programming sounds. I'm kind of a little programmed out at the moment,
Yeah.
but I had a lot of fun doing it. Like I didn't realize how insane all of their arrangements are.
They're really wild.
Yeah, they really are really intense, and I can't imagine like what the atmosphere was in the studio when those guys were like, "No, yeah, I do want to do like a fifth different piano part."
Yeah. That's what I like about that band the most. It's just like it's total excess, and
There's
that's
a lot of really smart stuff going on in the arrangements too. Like
Yeah.
I never would have given them credit for all that stuff if I hadn't really dug into it. Because I love these songs when I was a kid, and they're the kind of songs like a little kid will remember these
sing
songs for
along.
life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they're still like kind of endlessly fascinating. Well, not endlessly. I am.
Yeah, there's a limit.
I am.
You found the
I
limit.
am limited. They are not, but I am.
Yeah, there is a limit, and I have found it.
Yeah.
In preparing for this show.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna do this again at some point?
I was thinking about it. Yeah.
You should do it more.
Oh, I think we're gonna do it in B more.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, please. I would love to come see you guys do this in Baltimore. But I'll also try to make it tonight.
Okay. See what you can do.
What else have you been working on? I know you're working on making a new Lower Dens record. Is that right?
Yes.
And you finished the writing, or so you told me last time we hung out.
Yeah. I finished writing the songs and working on lyrics, but then we kind of we've been taking a little bit of a break, both for to go hang at Mogfest and then to do this, and we have one other kind of side project to work on. But we're pretty excited about the record. I think it's good.
I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
What is the writing process? Do you write with Nate, or do you write separately, or how does it work for y'all?
How it's been going is, for this record, is that I will write on my computer and then give the songs to him and let him kind of do whatever he wants with them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's different for every record.
Yeah. I've been doing this kind of weird fun thing with Wye Oak, where Andy's been sending me full, complete drum tracks, and I've been writing to those, which is kind of the opposite of the way we have typically done it.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Which has been really fun because it's obviously a great example of just a limitation that exists that takes a lot of options off the table, and I found it to be incredibly inspiring to just be able to crank something out and in the exact form. You have the form in front of you. It exists in the form of this drum track, which I've been trying to not alter.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I cheat and do, but, for the most part, I try and take it as a whole thing and then make the best song I possibly can with that thing kind of in reverse. And it's been really fun to do. I think it's helped me to subvert a lot of tendencies that I maybe lean into when I'm just left with a blank page.
What are those?
It's a good question. You'd probably be better suited to tell me than I would. I mean, you can listen to my music as from the perspective of a listener, which I will never be able to do. So, I mean, when I tell people, for example, I'll be oh, hey, I wrote this new song, and it's a total Joni Mitchell ripoff. And I play it for someone, and they're just I don't hear that at all. That just sounds like you. I feel I'm, in a lot of ways, the worst person to ask about what my music sounds like and what people hear in it.
Well, then if that's true, then I think everyone is the worst person to ask, because it's always going to be some sort of individual interpretation. They're going to always be interpreting it from their weird individual perspective.
Yeah.
We all have those relationships to music. It's really silly to think that we would have we would even be capable of having anything else.
Yeah, but it is different, I think, when you're the person that made it. I think that there's another layer to...
Well, there's another layer of scrutiny and
Yes.
subconsciousness.
Yes. Maybe several layers even, if you're me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think about that a lot. Even last night, to be I'll never see my band play. It's not a thing that's possible. I mean, maybe someone will invent some sort of space-time continuum where in the
For
future I can
bands.
actually get to see my... Yeah, that's the first priority, I think, for how they would use that, is to allow other people to see their own bands.
And I was having this conversation with one of the... You know how, people from, MIT and Georgia Tech were at Mogfest? I was having a conversation with a guy and really enjoying this conversation, talking about tech stuff that was possible. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could just think a song in my head and then it would be in the computer the way that I thought of it? Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, I don't think that when I think about technology, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more could I make it possible for someone with who isn't fully able-bodied to have? And I was like, oh yeah, right,
of course,
probably, yeah, you're
but
right.
Everyone needs songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that just goes to show how single-minded you can be when you do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like I got a sense from being at that festival that it's not entirely an unthinkable prospect. Maybe, perhaps not in our lifetime, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I went to a lot of those workshops, and it's really, it's hard to say as a civilian. I don't really understand any of the science. It's really fascinating. from a kind of audience perspective. But I guess my point where I was going with that was like, wouldn't it be kind of amazing to like, the more kind of barriers you can remove between people's the vulnerability of the creator and the vulnerability of the listener, like kind of like remove people's immediate instincts to judge and to interpret it through their own filters, so that we can have opportunities to experience each other as we experience ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That would be cool.
That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the reasons why I'm excited about what technology offers us, at least in a creative forum, is that I want more people to be able to share their ideas. And a lot of the music that I'm most drawn to is made by people who, before these developments, probably wouldn't have been able to make the things that they make. Because it's a different skill set entirely.
Yeah.
And it opens doors to people who are intensely creative.
Can you give an example?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think just like in general, like electronic music or like computer music as a whole, like opens doors, creative doors to people that like with, to be able to inhabit sound and express their ideas in ways that were impossible, not long ago.
Or at least much more difficult. You kind of did need like a technical training.
Yeah, you'd need to learn an instrument or, and so I don't know, I feel like, I mean, obviously like I still play instruments and I still work at getting better at them, but what's really exciting about that to me is it's just like it's a great technology as an equalizer, allowing more people to have access to ways to bring their ideas to life. And, I'm all for as much of that as possible. And I'm all for as much accessibility of that as possible. Like the cheaper this technology gets, the more people can get their hands on them, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Are there any technological devices you would like to build?
Oh, that's a really good question. Man, let's think about this. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about because I played those drum sensors, those drum triggers, those like hyper advanced and melodic and incredibly sensitive triggers. That felt to me like one of the most like tactile examples of something that's existed for a while, which is basically just like triggering and sampling, but it felt so much more like human and immediate and performative. And so kind of more extensions of that sort of thing with different instruments and sounds would be exciting for me. But I'm not sure that I really have like the inventor's mind in this scenario, but it's one of those like I know it when I see it sort of things.
Have you played that? Have you played with that Fishman MIDI pickup?
No, I've heard a lot about it, actually.
I have one of those if you want to check it out.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about this before. I would love to check that out.
It's pretty amazing.
It works really well, right?
Yeah, it does. It like interprets different parameters really well. So you really can get like most or maybe even all of like the full expression of what you're doing on a guitar through like expressed through MIDI.
Sound that you could
Yeah.
I have an old Casio MIDI guitar back when the technology was super new, and it's actually like delightfly unreliable.
Yeah.
Like I like that too, where it's
totally.
just sort of like it's doing a kind of a bad job, but in a good way.
Yeah.
But it would be really interesting to actually be able to use the guitar as a controller in a way that's reliable and consistent, because the Casio, what is it, the DG10 or whatever it is, I don't know. It's not consistent or reliable, but it is fun and it does look super cool.
That's sometimes important.
That's important.
Yeah.
It's important. I just took a sip of my Topo Chico. Well, I guess I should try and do some sort of like summary of our conversation.
Okay, let's hear it.
But I mostly just want to say again that it's been really exciting watching what you do and watching it from the perspective of a friend and someone who actually knows you, and also an admirer of your work. And I think you're really great. I think what you're doing is awesome. I can't wait to hear your new record. Super pumped about it.
I feel the same way.
Well, thanks, buddy.
I didn't mean to say it like that. My throat was actually... That's what's happening from singing Abba. It's
I know, man. Those songs are hard to sing.
Yeah, throw my voice out.
You got your work cut out for you.
I really think my voice is going to go during the
do
set tonight. If that happens, I'm expecting you to jump on stage and finish
I'll do what I can.
Finish the set.
I completely blew my voice out last night. Like I knew that I would have nothing left at the end, and I absolutely don't.
Cool.
So you're on your own. But I know you can do it.
Okay, thanks.
Because I've heard you do it before. You got pipes. You're gonna be fine.
We'll see. I didn't realize that was kind of like the thing that I underestimated the most.
Singing?
Was the singing.
It's hard singing.
Because, they have two singers.
They do.
And I'm just one singer.
You're just one, yeah.
And they make it seem like they both have these incredible ranges. And I'm sure that they do. And I don't really have that much of a range. But I think that one of them has a low voice and one of them has a high voice.
And they
it makes
combine.
it seem like they have together this 3-octave range.
Just like Uber voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough singing. That was the first thing I thought. I was just like, it's very ambitious. But I know you can do it. In fact, I would really like to hear you do it because I also think that bringing some, not to say that you're going to be a mess or anything, but bringing some imperfections into the mix with those songs. Those are great
we're bringing
songs.
it.
Oh, you're bringing it.
Yeah.
They will be imperfect.
Oh, yeah.
I think actually will be really satisfying,
We'll see.
I have a tendency to hyper perfect things, but I really like when things are a little ragged. So I'm excited about that aspect of it. I think
I
it's
always
gonna be
kind
cool.
of aim beyond my capability and then don't get everything right, which is always disappointing.
But always different and better than you expected.
That's true.
No, I think that's
I don't
that's
know,
it.
I don't
That's
know.
it. What you just said is my entire ethos about making music is 100% just aim for better than you can do and hit slightly below it. And with that, I think that's it. I think that's a
We're
great
good,
place
right?
to leave it.
Very solid advice, Elia, don't you think?
I'll take it. Punch above your weight. Jana Hunter, Jenn Wasner, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. To Northside Festival, thanks again for having the Talkhouse curate all of these events in the Sonos room at Rough Trade. As Amy Rose mentioned, listeners, you can hear brilliant composers Jlin and William Basinski in conversation over at talkhouse.com now. And coming up very soon, punk innovator Martin Rev of Suicide in conversation with my favorite ambient artist alive, Julianna Barwick.
If you want more Jenn and Jana in the meantime, be sure to check out their amazing written work for Talkhouse.com. And for more Talkhouse.com, follow us on social media at Talkhouse across the board.
You can also hear a fantastic episode recorded backstage at Pitchfork Music Festival in 2015 at Talkhouse.com featuring Jana Hunter in conversation with the incomparable Mike Hadrius, aka Perfume Genius. Today's episode was recorded and co-produced by Mark Yoshizumi.
Thanks, Mark. All right, I think that's about it for us, right, Elia? We're good?
Let's call it, man.
All right, thanks for listening.